Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Family Podcast with your two favorite brothers. My name is Sammy.
My name is Don.
And today we have a special guest in the building.
Yes, we do indeed.
Welcome, Soddiq, Suleman.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for having me today.
No problem. Thank you for coming. So, let's get straight into it, innit? What is a protection specialist?
Yeah, so a protection specialist is basically someone who specializes in helping people build the right protection products for their family. So you got to think about it from this perspective. As a parent or as a person, we come into the world and we get certain assets and, you know, we provide for our children and we have an income coming in on a monthly basis. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, if you're a parent, if you are no longer in the picture because of, you know, death or accident or something like that, you know, what source of income does your family have in that time and in that season? So my job really is to help people think about that and help people prepare adequately for if the worst was to happen, you know, making sure that there's still money coming in and their family is still supported from a financial perspective.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, because I think that's something that a lot of us, we don't really take the time to think about.
No,
we just think about, one day we'll be 50, one day we'll be 80, but we never think about what if, for example, God forbid, you got hit by a car or, you know, there was a debilitating medical, you know, emergency and, you know, your life changes.
It's real. Yeah, you guys are absolutely right. I mean, you could never... You know, with the best of intentions, we don't want these things to happen, but these things are always a possibility. So for me, it's always about being prepared. Now, I speak to a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm going to live till I'm, 60, I'm going to live till I'm 70, I'm going to live till I'm 80. Well, actually, who told you that? Do you know what I mean? Like, where do you have that certainty? Where do you have that guarantee from? If you don't have that guarantee, if you don't control, you know, your life in that sense, because even the fittest of people pass away from the strangest of things.
Yeah.
So no one's above death, unfortunately. It's one thing that we'll all face. No one's above sickness or injury. You know, cancer doesn't tell you, 2 days before it's coming, I'm coming. You know, heart attacks don't tell you 5 days before they're coming, I'm coming. There's no schedule. There's no appointed time. If there's no appointed time, then it's our responsibility, if we have people that we're taking care of, to make sure that they are still looked after in all instances.
So if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been doing like your role as...
So as a financial protection specialist, I've been doing this role now for 2 years. Yeah, so before that actually, I was in education.
Okay.
So I was a behavior mentor in a secondary school.
Oh man.
But my journey's kind of been very interesting because it's like I've almost come full circle.
Okay.
Before I got into education, I was working in HSBC. I was working as a cashier. And then my branch manager, he was like, he saw so much potential, so much skill in me. He was like, we want to train you to be basically a branch manager.
Okay, yeah, nice.
And then I think at that time, I was probably about 22. And I'd done a lot of work with young people, and I had a real passion for young people from church.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, I'm really passionate about working with young people. I actually just love them. I like being around them. They're really encouraged by me. So I went straight away. I literally worked up that I was passionate, and then 2 weeks later, I went to work in education. And then now I've pretty much come back full circle, and I'm working in the financial world. So life is purposeful, it's intentional. God has a plan, if you believe in him.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that actually, because I think I got into my job a similar way. I did youth work in church. You know, I didn't know what to do. Parents were like, why don't you do youth work? And I was like, maybe something a bit bigger. Then my mum, I was like, what's bigger than the youth work? And my mum was like, a social worker.
Wow.
And literally that's how everything came about. So yeah.
And same for me.
Yeah.
Because I went to do I came out of uni, weren't really sure what to do. And then I was working in a cinema, I didn't like it. Then I got my diploma as a personal trainer. Yeah. And then the gym that I was working in, it went through a restructure. So that left a lot of people out of work and stuff. And then I went off to do the sales part of it, and I didn't really like that. So I went to work in a sexual health clinic. And I stayed there for years. And now my job is a mixture of anatomy and physiology, which I had to learn for the personal training element, and reading over doctors' diagnosis and stuff like that, which is what I picked up in the NHS as well. Yeah. So it's funny how your life just equips you with skills to move forward, and that it's sick. So speaking about that, what were your favorite subjects in school?
Funny. School was funny. Let's just say that. My favorite subject in school was probably English.
Okay.
And food tech.
Is it?
I didn't really like school, to be totally honest with you. I mean, I was very, very bright, very, very smart, but I had very low aspirations. Like, if you asked me when I was about 15 or 16, like, what do you want to be? I really couldn't tell you. Like, you know, some people say they want to be a doctor, or they want to be a lawyer, or they want to be this, or they want to be that. I literally did not have a clue. So food tech was probably up there because it's a chance to make food and chill out and relax. And then English was up there because I was very good at it.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's crazy, thinking that you went into finance and your favourite was English and food tech.
Yeah. I literally disliked maths. Like, maths was not... Maths was crazy because, again, I was good at maths.
Yeah.
But I didn't... So the funny thing about my maths is they entered me for the GCSE. So I took my early GCSE in maths. I got a D in it. Then I took the real GCSEs, got a D again. And only when I went to college was I able to pass my maths GCSE. But I was good. I just didn't apply myself.
Okay.
And now I'm here helping people protect themselves financially.
No, that's good though. I do think, you know, with schools and that.
Yeah.
It's like they make it like your whole life is on this one exam, you know, and like anything, you can have a bad day.
Yeah.
You didn't get enough sleep because you're worried, you know, and then essentially your whole academic career hangs on this test. So it's easy to see how that happens. And, you know, not just to you, but loads of kids as well. So, but if you had to turn back the time, like now with all your experience and say something to that 16-year-old guy getting ready to sit his exams, what would you say to him?
Can I be honest with you? I'm the type of person... I could come here and say something nice and fancy, but I'm
keep it real.
Very, very content with the life I've lived. I believe that every single part of my journey has made me who I am today. Every mistake I've made has made me sharper. Every mistake I've made has made me wiser. Every mistake I've made has made me a lot more accurate in terms of my ability to make decisions and process now. So I think what I would say to him is be patient. Time will tell where you're supposed to be. Time will tell where you're supposed to go. Enjoy the journey and pick up as much skills as you can. That's what I would say to him. Enjoy the journey, pick up as much skills as you can. Things will make sense in the end. Like, you know, being a 16-year-old, I literally never ever saw myself being a dad. I never saw myself like getting married. I never had these aspirations, but life has worked itself out. And I believe that if you keep yourself on a straight and narrow, if you keep yourself around certain people, you keep yourself in certain environments, and you're diligent with wherever you are, life will work itself out. I believe opportunities will come, and those opportunities will give birth to the next opportunities. And as you grow in passion, as you grow in knowledge, as you grow in understanding, you know, you will, in a sense, be guided to where you need to go to.
Because a lot of people say you fail upwards.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. I think, you know, if we're talking about a lot of young people as well, you know, they deal with a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and it's this whole idea that their life is already over before it's actually begun. And it's a lot what we see, again, it comes back to what we're seeing a lot now with social media, giving a lot of, not even just young people, I think even myself growing up, now seeing a lot of people who are of similar age to me driving around in Range Rovers, you know what I mean? Like they're shopping in Harrods every week, you know, buying Dior trainers, all of this. And I'm here and I'm like, I can't do that. Genuinely, with all my will, I actually really like those Dior runners, but I cannot afford them. Do you know what I mean? Like I work, There's the work that I do. I have a vision. I have a goal. I have certain targets that if I don't meet those targets, I cannot reward myself with those things. And that's just where I am as I'm on my journey. The comparison game can kill people.
No,
but
definitely.
If you understand that, life is a journey and you are where you are. And if you've got a plan, execute your plan and go forward. But yeah, sorry, I talk a lot.
Yeah,
that's good. That's exactly why we want you here. But I think you dropped like so many gems. I think Sammy will be able to tell you that I'm of a similar kind of standing. I don't really believe in like this is a mistake, let's fix it, or I should be here, or it's my fault that I'm not doing this. I just believe that the journey kind of plays out, and where you're supposed to be in the right time, you will get there. You just need to take that breather and take that breath and evaluate your situation and spend more time trying to know what it is that you want to do rather than spend your time watching what other people have. And most of the time, one of the things that I've been fortunate enough to see is that networking is so key.
Yeah.
You see people and you see them sitting in Lambos and stuff and you think, oh yeah, like this person, how come they get a new car every week? Yeah, because their boy works in a car dealership. Or because, they spent 5 years, in a car dealership in Mercedes, and now when they go back, everybody knows them. Yeah. They're that guy in Mercedes. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? They get the nice discount on the whip.
Yeah.
People are bussing them. Yeah. It's not that the person came out and always put the stacks down. Do you know what I'm saying? People have clever ways of portraying their message.
It's the Wizard of Oz thing, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Like, I think once you get close to a lot of the people who you admire and you think they're a certain way, you realize that they're not who they're portrayed to be. Yeah. And I mean, it's just I think it's a consequence of, like I say, the gram,
Yeah, no, definitely.
And this picture sharing platforms. That make you have to create your perfect photo. And look, we all there slap a little filter on or whatever.
Come on, you have to.
But I think it's just understanding and having the balance. Like when you watch a film, that Christian Bale didn't die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he'll be back in a new movie. And I think that's how I see social media.
Wow.
It's like, yo, this girl is pretty. She's doing the whole thing, but she's got 10 filters on her damn face.
Wow.
She got these lights and spotlights and all. And I just accept what it is. Like some people are renting out their Mercedes and and some people have their Mercedes and they're just doing up life. I just see it as entertainment,
Yeah, I think because I was brought into that life real early as well, for me. I mean, I was just more shocked that they found a way to do it in real life, innit? Because I was like, how are they ever going to be able to do this when I was doing photography, learning Photoshop? Yeah. And then like when I was airbrushing, and I was like, yeah, ain't nobody going to learn how to airbrush in real life. And then people started contouring, and I was like, wait a minute, wait, you did what? I used to do that on the computer. Do you know what I'm saying?
No Adobe.
Yeah, no Adobe in real life. Yeah.
Adobe needed.
So, when
That's Mac. Poppy Brown.
So, when I saw that, that's when I was really like, oh, this is mad, isn't it? But I was always able to distinguish because, bro, like, everyone looks leng on the lights, boy. Like, when you see the studio lights, the makeup artist is finished with them, the designer's finished doing the tight up clothes, and you're like, bro, this girl is so beautiful. Then the wipe comes in, and you're like, she's not beautiful, but she's not under the lights. She's not under the lights beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of it was normalized to me, innit? A lot earlier than I suppose it was normalized to other people.
So going back to yourself, Soddiq, what would you say was the hardest thing or the biggest challenge about entering the finance world for you personally?
I think for me personally, the biggest challenge was probably imposter syndrome, and this idea that am I good enough to be in the space, and will people take me seriously, especially transitioning from education into finances. But the good thing is that I think, a lot of people around me, so my close friends, they knew me as a person that was always, the person who encouraged everyone from a financial perspective.
Right.
What are you doing financially? What does your financial situation look like? What are your goals in the next 10 years financially? And so when they were able to take me seriously, and when I was able to look around the industry and think, actually, a couple of people are doing things, but they don't know what you know. Do you know what I mean? Like they can't articulate the way you can articulate. They don't carry the same presence that you carry. Actually put yourself in that environment and encourage and help people. And I think it's been an amazing journey because I'm in a position where I get to meet so many people, and I've helped so many people to protect their families. And it's for me, like, I know that if something happens to, like, there's about 200 people that if you fall down and something happens to you now, your family is good. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that peace of mind that when a client speaks to me, you know, some people come to me, they already have existing policies or existing packages. And then when I begin to, you know, say to them, you know what, this is actually what you need. This is what you have. There's a big difference. The level of, oh, wow, I actually get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that service and that response is what's kept me going. And I guess it's what solidified me against imposter syndrome, to realize that, you know, I deserve to be in this space. I personally think I'm one of the greatest in the space, and more greatness is to come, because I'm always going to equip myself further and put myself around other people who can teach me more. And I can equally, as I'm being taught, give out. And that's probably one of my biggest things. I'm the type of person, I like to learn and apply straight away. I don't like to just take information in and just like let it sit. I like to process the information, because I believe if you teach it, then it becomes more a part of you.
Of course.
And it gets into your brain, into your psyche, and then it almost becomes natural.
Yeah.
So, imposter syndrome was the biggest thing. And that is being dealt with, I guess, over time. Yeah.
And I like what you said about the teaching. So do you think it should be in schools, like financial literacy? Because I've heard this a lot. And I don't know whether I fall on the side of it's the parents' responsibility or the schools. Because if the schools are going to teach you about certain things like PSHE, how to wear a condom and that,
yes.
Why can't they teach you about some financial literacy?
Yes. And I think I agree with you. However, I think we have to look at what the school system was made for. Yeah. And I'm going to give an example here. Yeah. Now, the traditional school system, the public school system, is made. It was initially to produce factory workers. That's why you have the sign in and you have the sign out system. So that system is designed to keep you at a certain level and have a certain mindset that when you leave here, you are going to work, and you are going to work for somebody. Now, I think it's a parent's job, first and foremost, to give their children their whole identity and their whole sense of education, their whole sense of purpose. That is a parent's job foundationally. Now, the problem with schools is that that's the traditional school. Now, I'll give an example. Now, with my son, he's 2 years old now, and we were looking for schools for him, but we decided we wanted to go private, me and my missus. So we went to see a school the other day, and the school said something. They said that in year 6, my son will learn about mortgages. In year 6. At the age of 11, he will learn about mortgages.
That's mad.
So I was like, that means that this school is giving a certain mindset to these young people.
Yeah.
So the young people that come out of this school will know a lot more than the young people that come out of the normal schools. He will know how to get a mortgage at 11, something that a lot of 21-year-olds do not know about. So you have to look at the type of school, the purpose of that school, the notion of that school, all that stuff has to play in. But fundamentally, as a parent, your child is your responsibility. Whatever you want for your child, you have to have that image. You have to have that sense of purpose. You have to know that this is what I want for my child. I want my child to think like this. I want my child to speak like this. I want my child to have a certain level of self-worth. So, for example, my son, he's 2. Every morning, I take him to school. We walk to nursery. Every morning, we say a prayer as we're walking, because I'm a believer. That's just me. And then we say the I ams. Yeah. And the I is I am smart. I am handsome. I am excellent. I am wise. I am a leader. Every morning, because I am instilling things inside of him from now, so that when he gets to school and people tell him he's dumb, when people get to school and people tell him he's ugly, he has the answer in him already. He's already equipped to fight against everything that life will throw against him from early, because I know what life can be. And I see it as my responsibility for him to be who he is. And I think he will get that from me. So in essence, I think the school should, but the school won't. And parents should, and they need to.
Yeah. Because my thing is, as well, when you look at a lot of teachers, it's not like they have the best finances either.
Yeah.
And who do you want to teach your kids about finance? So I've always said that when my daughter's about 6 or 7, we're going to walk her into the bank.
100%.
And we're just going to, okay, what is a current account? What is this? What is that?
100%.
You know, and we're just going to, sorry for whoever the bank is, but we're just going to grill the person there.
100%.
You know? So she gets 100%. The knowledge early. It's like what you were saying about mortgages. I've gone back and forth because my family have a particular idea about mortgages, innit? And then as I've been listening to certain people and hearing them talk, there's been this debate whether a mortgage is actually an asset or a liability. And so, you know, because you haven't really done the work yourself, both ideas you can see where both ideas work, innit?
100%.
So it's about learning enough to make the decision for yourself. And I think that's what knowledge is. It's just the ability to take information from both sides of the fence and be able to make a decision that you're happy with.
100%.
Yeah, and that's another important point. I think that, you know, some people watch too much TV, watch too much of other people's lives. Like, you have to think about your own goals. At the end of the day, it's you and your life, you know. And I think it's really important for people to take the jump that they take. You know, when Donald Trump's father gave him money, he wasn't on the same platform as the people whose father never gave them money. He's on a different platform.
100%.
So if he's going to go and be like, okay, my boy around the corner basically said that when your dad gives you money, you should act this way and do this thing. Yeah, but you don't have no money. I'm in a completely different situation to you. So I think it's always important for people to reflect and evaluate, you know, what is it that you want? Are you actively getting there? And, you know, how you do that. Listen, like, some people, I can tell you because I work in the field, some people are happy to die in their grave with millions of pounds of debt. And they say to you, no matter what you say to them, they're like, listen, I done lived my life. I've been in the fanciest cars. I've done all of this. And to be honest, as soon as I die, they ain't taking nothing from me. I ain't got no assets, no nothing. It's a wrap, innit? And I'm happy with the way that I live. Me personally, can't live like that, innit? I just can't, innit? But some people are happy with that. They know the system. They've been weaving in and out it from the day that they were born. It's the way that it works for them, you know? And, you know, more power to them, innit? If you live the greatest life that you feel that you could have led as an individual, that's your problem. That's between you and God, innit? So,
yeah. And where do you go when you need financial advice?
Yeah, that's mad.
Well, when you need financial advice, traditionally you go to the bank or financial advisor in the bank. Now, the issue you're going to find with a financial advisor in the bank is that they provide services exclusive to that bank. So whilst they will give you advice, the advice that they give you would ultimately lead to a product sold by the bank.
Yeah.
Now, some may consider that slightly biased, and others may consider that fair. But fundamentally, I believe that you should go to a private wealth manager. And there are private wealth managers out there. Go on YouTube as well. I mean, you know, YouTube has a plethora of information out there. There's so much information and so much insight. And it all depends on what question you want to ask. You have to start with a question. Once you start with a question and you get a bit of insight into that, it will lead you to your next question. That will inevitably lead you to your next question. And you literally have to go down the rabbit hole of getting the information that you need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So is that where you go as well, like YouTube or? Yeah,
I mean, I go to YouTube. If it depends exactly what I want to do. To be honest with you, I go to YouTube. I've got some other people around me who I esteem, and I get advice from them for specific things. Because of the nature of my job, I'm very connected to people who provide financial services.
Right.
Because if you've got like a mortgage broker, the mortgage broker will send me clients. I equally can send the mortgage broker clients. If you've got people that that do pensions, I will send the pensions people clients. The pensions people will send me clients. But my thing has always been personally, before I even got into this, is I always search for information myself. That's just my thing. I like to be equipped to know for myself, so that even when I'm speaking to the people, I at least have a little bit of knowledge on what to ask, a little bit of knowledge on what to say. It just means that when I go to them, I'm not going to them with nothing. Sometimes people like for you to go to them with a little bit of something, so you're not being fooled. Do you know what I mean? Like most times when I go to people, all I'm really doing is looking for clarity in terms of what I've already learned.
Right.
Because you find that people put so much information on the internet, like literally so much information is on YouTube. Like if you want to know what's the best way to get out of debt, go on YouTube, search it. Tons of videos will come up. If you're really serious about getting out of debt, you watch at least 3.
Yeah.
You watch at least 4, and you take action on those 4. If you want to know how to get a mortgage, how do I get a mortgage on YouTube? There's tons of videos will come up. You can watch about 5. You have a pretty good idea from those 5. And then if you want to have a conversation with a professional, you can have a conversation with a professional. But everything is fundamentally out there. It's all on the web. Honestly speaking, everything is on the web. Look, the conversation we're about to have now, it's going to be on the web.
Yeah.
And I think that's an amazing thing to kind of put out there, because I think even in general day to day, it's funny because as we spoke about things that come around, so like you start in one place and you never knew how you got to that place, but you got to the place and it links everything up. It's the same way that Sammy, you probably heard me talk, that I believe that that's kind of how life works. And so when I look at situations like this, when you look at being in a job, if you ever speak to a senior or a manager or a director or a deputy, they always say the same thing. It's actually bare annoying when people come to you and just ask you for the answer. They've done no research, no looking into what it is. It's just like,
give me all the
I know I'm
now.
being paid as well, but you just tell me and I'll do it and then I'll go home. Those tend to be the people that most people have an issue with, innit? And the same thing seems to be applying to the financial world and your life in general. 100%. That you have to be inquisitive. You have to get the information, and then you can ask for support. No one's not saying that, but nobody is going to create it for you.
And create your competency or your intelligence around a certain thing. And then you don't know whether you're being duped or not. Because look, I work in a job where there are hard and fast rules about it. But when it comes to like the sequencing of, like, for example, your diagnosis, everybody does it a certain way. So for me, I do my body system chapters, then I do like what's called the special chapters if you have any addictions or anything like that. And then like the things that they do in hospital, if somebody had physiotherapy or occupational health, that type of stuff, then I put those all at the bottom. But then if you go and speak to another one of my colleagues, they don't do it that way. They got their own way that they do it. And so I've done that because of my reading around the subject, and I just think logically that makes sense. Whereas other people be like, no, this is the best way to do it. And so once you go through the process of picking out your competency and then laying it out in your own way, that's how you get like uniqueness.
Of course.
You know, whereas if you say everything that Build a Boss says, you know, you're just a carbon copy of Build a Boss, 100%. You know, and as soon as he comes in the room, you feel nervous because you're like, who do I be now? You know, so I don't rate all of that stuff. Allow that. This is a question that I really wanted to ask you. We often hear about like the black community wasting money and that. It's all over. It's been persistent for time. But do you see anything being in the financial world that the black community is very good at financially?
What is the black community very good at financially? Probably spending money. What I'm good at spending money. That's I really can't say that. I think maybe what we specialize in is the partner system. For those that are of Jamaican heritage, and then for those that are Nigerian, we call it ajo. And I don't know what Ghanaians call it when they borrow money to each other. Everyone
susu. Yeah, we do susu. Yeah.
So everyone's got their own systems where they're community-based systems where they, each person gets a pot of money at the end of the month or whatever that looks like. But yeah, I mean, one thing about, what I would say about black people is, I think we are at a stage now where we're being educated. I think when we have these conversations around black people and finance, I think it's very, very important to remember that most of us now are probably second generation in the UK. And the first generation came over here, and their priority was really to make sure that we have opportunities, we have education, and then really their idea was to go back home and build. They found themselves outstaying their desire, essentially. Now, I think they've done their job in the sense that they've made sure we're here. And now we're here in a land of opportunity, so to speak, because they've taken our opportunities from our homes and all that stuff. Now we're here. I think we're the generation now where the education really starts. We're the generation that really challenges some of the ways that we've dealt with money. We're the generation that now has a responsibility to set up for the next generation. I think the onus is on this generation, and we talk about the we are the millennials. So I think the onus is on the millennials. The baby boomers came and they had to fight, they had to labor, they had to toil, they had to go through racism, they had to go through discrimination. So they fought their fight, and it's because of the fight they fought that we're now in our position. And they really were just about surviving. That was really what they were about, because when they came, they didn't see themselves in a position to buy shops. They didn't see themselves in a position of ownership. They saw themselves in a position of servitude. And even if I look at my dad, when he came to this country, he came to this country with an accounting degree that he was a boss in Nigeria. But when he came here, that accounting degree didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So he now had to go and do various little jobs just to keep us surviving. And then he had opportunities, throughout his life to buy property at very cheap prices, to buy hotels at very cheap prices. But people around him, for lack of knowledge, said, why do you need this? You're going back to Nigeria. You don't need this stuff. Inevitably, he ended up buying the same property probably for 10 times more. That's his learning experience. And it's for lack of knowledge. But now for us, who we've seen the mistakes of our parents, we have the knowledge, we know the statistics that the pound doesn't last in the black community longer than 6 seconds. What are we going to do about it? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the question. Is that if you're listening to this and we know it, I think there was a big debate going on. I think this one YouTuber, Lynn May, was talking about black people were always complaining about slavery and all of that stuff. And I think contextually, we have to talk about slavery when we talk about our financial position. But yes, the onus is on us now to take some type of responsibility and project forward to the future and decide what we're going to do to change it. And so I think we have a negative past. But again, I was in a barbecue last week and we were talking. I was like, me and one of the guys were talking, and we were like, actually, when we look around our circles, people are making moves.
Yeah.
We are making moves. We're buying property, 2 properties, in fact. We're starting businesses, successful businesses. We're creating opportunities for other people. We're climbing ladders in our industries. We are making moves. And I think as long as we keep the momentum, keep the conversations going, and as long as many of us scream as loud as possible, let's have a plan. Make sure we execute the plan. I think we'll be good in the long term. I think we're not where we want to be, but I think we're far better than where we were before. And we have to pat ourselves on the shoulder and say, we're going somewhere. Let's continue to go. Because inevitably, I do believe we will take over. I do genuinely believe that. I think we're at the millennials now are on a chart to be probably amongst the richest in this country with the right mindsets.
I mean, I think about my friends in it, and how many of my friends now own shares.
Yeah.
You know, and you go back, like my dad is frugal with his money in it.
Yeah.
But he never earned shares. Like he never bought shares. Yeah. One, it was difficult to do. You had to get on the phone with somebody, and then the share price will go haywire, and then you're like, oh, it's you actually have to pay this much now because the market moves so quickly.
Yeah.
And so again, that's just another step, another foray into an industry or a lifestyle that wasn't afforded to our parents, that has been afforded to us. And it's about understanding it.
I think now we've got better circles, better means of communication, more of an understanding that to help a brother out isn't actually
detrimental to yourself.
Yeah, it's not so detrimental, and I think that nowadays, if we can start to have the conversation and say, okay, because I feel like there's a massive ego thing in the black community, and I think it's been there. I think it's females and I think it's males, isn't it? Like females think that males aren't good enough. Males think that females aren't good enough. Males think that other males are trying to steal their money. Do you get what I'm saying? We've always had this kind of thing where it's like, I kind of trust you, but I don't really trust you. You might be shasty. See, I think that now people have seen that relationships can be lucrative. And I've always been a person who's like, okay, I very rarely burn bridges. And when I do, I kind of burn them forever. But generally, I very rarely burn bridges. And one of the things that I think we're realizing is that, listen, my brethren who's my finance friend doesn't need to come and pop bottles in the club with me. Yeah. He's my finance brethren. Yeah. We're going to sit down. We're going to have conversations about how to move forward in a financial way, innit? Yeah. And I think we're starting to understand that a little bit better. Where it was before, it was like, my boy don't want to jump into my dream. Yeah. And it's like, okay. Nah, he's a dickhead. He shouldn't be, he should be over here. He should be, let's burn this bridge because he doesn't want to do what I want to do. I'm finding more people in the black community and ethnic communities are saying, okay, you don't want to be a part of this. That's fine, innit? It's cool. When you find something that you want to be useful in, we can have a chat. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And just leaving it at that rather than, I feel like, especially in my secondary school years, it's like, if you're not on what I'm on, then.
But I also think that's a fragile ego thing.
No, definitely.
Because it's like, you don't want to take on the entire burden of the dream that you have. So you need somebody to be a supporting structure. So that if things don't go well, be like, but we messed up. This is my thing. I put my name on it. Responsibility is mine. And whether he turns up, she turns up, this is my thing. And I think some people use that as a crutch, never to achieve their dreams. Because look, it's a hard thing to do to sit and write something down on a piece of paper, and it looks a million miles away from where you are now, and then slowly make the steps. Like we talked about it before, like when we started doing this, one tiny little recorder thing on the table, people come in here like, oh, do I just speak into that thing? Yeah, of course. Yeah, speak into that, bro. Because this is the day that we need to have to get to what we have today. And then today is what we need to whatever is coming down
tomorrow,
the line. And so you just have to.
But I think, I think you're right, innit? I think that people have to have their individual desire, and then you have to be able to cultivate. Like, even us sitting in a room, innit? Like, your desire financially, our desire as podcasters, Leon's desire as a multimedia, do you get what I'm saying, consultant, or, to have his own company. That's what's brought us all together. So now, when
a lot of dark faces.
but the thing is, the funniest thing is that now we're just all connected. Do you get what I'm saying? If we keep this conversation going, then that means that, okay, when the business pops off under the family, it's like, oh yeah, bro, man just needs to ask you something. Yeah, I thought so. All right, cool. Let's do a series. Why don't we do a series where we follow you around and think, hey, Leon, you got some availability. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a different ball game now. And I think that now that we've realized that we are the business.
Yeah.
That's what we've realized as ethnic people. We are the business. Well, I was saying this to someone else. I was like, okay, well, look in your jobs, innit? Manual labor. Who does the hardest work? Come on. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to say nothing. Go find your cleaner.
Yeah.
Where they come from?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Go find the person who's scrubbing the toilets mad so that you can wake up tomorrow and piss in a clean toilet.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Yeah.
Who's pushing the papers? Do you get what I'm saying? Who is the manpower of most businesses? I ain't even gonna say that. Do you get what I'm saying? You're just gonna get loads of people who come and watch the thing and just be like, yeah. Do you know why? Because when you realize that you're the hard worker, you don't mind doing the hard work. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you get to the directorate level, you're still not as scared of hard work. Why? Because you did the hard work in the first place. And I think if we've learned anything, that's what it is. How valuable our hard work is. You know what happens if the dustbin cleaners stop collecting your rubbish?
Big ass rats.
Yeah. You know what happens if the cleaner stops cleaning the organization's toilets?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody coming to work. You think I'm gonna go to work when I need to use the toilet and it's looking like World War III in there?
Nutella.
Yeah. Do you got? And that's what my thing is. So I'm like, I was lucky enough that my parents found pride in everything. Do you get what I'm saying? They were like, okay, yeah, we cleaners now, but we got a vision.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
We're gonna push this. Yeah. So as I've grown up, I've kind of seen that. And in a financial perspective, everybody's made mistakes. But as you said, they learned from the mistakes and they were like, okay. And now we know financial, but bro, if you went now, and knocked on mom's door and be like, I know a financial advisor, specializes in protection. You know the way mom's gonna look at you? Like you're mad, bro. She's gonna be like, what kind of people you been hanging out with? You know what I'm saying?
The rat kind.
Yeah, exactly. And but this is what we need to do for our community. This is what we need to do. Like going back to young people. Yeah. If they can't get into school, they should be able to get in the community. The people that you bring around your children should be able to have these conversations.
100.
Do you know what I'm saying? Shouldn't just always be alcohol and chicken wings and do you get what I'm saying? It should be alright. Yeah, it should be like, alright, listen. Your uncle's coming over, your godfather's coming over. Today, you know what we're gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about investing. Yeah, that power move. Do you get what I'm saying?
Powers.
Sometimes we just do mad stuff as our community. The craziest stuff. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna roll around in a Lamborghini. Why?
Yeah. Because I remember reading this book, innit? And it was talking about the difference between children and their level of attainment. And what they found is, amongst other things, when certain kids get home from school for the school summer holiday, they throw their bag down and they don't look at nothing until it's time to go back to school. But in other households, they are studying throughout the 6 weeks like they never left. So when they go back,
it's just continuation.
But they're way higher. Like because they've had almost 2 months of study where other people were stagnating. And you don't just stagnate, you regress. Especially as a child. You need constant reminding. And so then you're seeing two people who were very similar, right, at the beginning of the year. And then when they get to year 9, it's like one has outpaced the other. And everyone's like, how the hell did that happen? It's like because one person realized how to utilize the time. And the other person didn't, And so I think these little things that we're talking about, they're very important.
100.
I wanted to ask you as well, because we have quite a few creatives, other podcasters and stuff who listen to our podcast, innit? And there's this constant battle, I would say, between trying to put money into your dream, and being financially responsible. So what are your views on somebody who's a creative, who has a creative outlet that might need to spend some money on stuff, as well as like being financially secure? Can you do both?
I think 100% you can do both. I think what's important in this world is priorities. Two things actually, vision and priorities. So, you need to know where do you want your family to be in a certain amount of time. So for example, for me, I know that in 10 years time, I need to own at least 3 properties for each one of my children that they can get when they're 18. And, you know, they will have those properties. I know that, you know, I need to be paying £10,000 a month in bills every month. That's how much my bills are going to be because of where I want to live, how I want to live, what I want to live. I've got that mapped out. Now, I know where I am now and I know where I want to be. So I have to work out what is the best way for me to get there. But equally so, I have to work out what are my priorities along the journey. Now, if you've got children and a family to feed, that's priority number one. Do you understand what I'm saying? Making sure that your children have food to eat, food on the table. Now, if you're a creative and you're not necessarily, you know, declaring your finances, if you're a wise creative, there's money you can access from the government because you're not necessarily making money. Yeah? There's no shame in accessing money from the government to put food on the family's table while you feed your dream, while you feed your vision. Yeah, everything in life, I think life to me is like, there's a term in Nigeria, it's called Ogbonlaye, and it just means that the brain, life requires brain. Yeah, life requires brain. Life requires understanding the things that exist in the world and taking advantage of them. Now, why do I say that? Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen recently, but a lot of these politicians have been in a lot of question marks. There's been a lot of question marks because they're spending money on certain things that it's almost they're not supposed to spend the money on, but they're allowed to spend the money on.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a grey area that they like to live in. Yeah. And the reason they can live in those grey areas is because they know the laws.
Yeah.
They understand the systems. They make the systems. So when you make the system, you know how to play in the system in a way that serves your purpose, serves your long-term vision, serves your long-term goals. Yeah. So what I would say to creatives is understand the system. Let the system serve you whilst you are serving your vision. Find a way to let the system serve you whilst you are serving your vision. There is no shame in taking universal credit if you have a vision and you have a purpose that needs to be fed. Because you have to balance it. The way I see it is you have to balance it. You're feeding your now and you're feeding your future. The investments you make in your business, if they're lucrative and they're purposeful, those are things that are going to pay you in the future. Those are the things that are going to allow you to live the life you want to live in the future. So if you don't make those investments, you rob from your future. As a creative, you need to invest in yourself because you as creatives, you're betting on yourself. You guys are betting on yourself. So if you're betting on yourself, goddamn, you better put a lot of money in yourself and you better work your ass off. But you guys have the privilege, or we as, because even I'm self-employed, I have the privilege of not having to declare my earnings the way normal people declare their earnings. I have the privilege of being able to say, this is how much I earn, and no one can question it as long as my accountant's good. And if the accountant declares a certain amount, that entitles me from a certain amount from the government. And I'll take that money from the government because when I get rich, you're going to want some money from me.
You're want it back.
So I'm going to feed at this level, but I'm going to feed at that level. So I'm saying if you're creative, play the game of life with wisdom. That's what I'm saying. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed to feed your family with universal credit for a season, as long as your family's not suffering. Your family's suffering, that's a different situation. You need to make that assessment. What are my priorities? What do my children need to live? Now, you have to ask your question, am I going to give them what they need to live at the bare minimum? If I'm going to give them what they need to live at the bare minimum, for what season am I going to do it? How long will they live at the bare minimum for, to know that we're going to live at the bare minimum for 5 years, but after 5 years, you're going to eat like a king? It's a plan. It comes back to what you were saying earlier when we were talking off mic. Have a plan. Have a future. For example, now, about 2 years ago, my wife and myself were in a place where we were like, 2 years ago when I was about to turn 30, I was just sitting down and I was thinking like, actually, I've lived most of my 20s to 30 in a cycle of debt. Lots of debt. 20s to 30s, lots and lots of debt, paying off lots and lots of debt. And I looked towards my 30s to 40s and I was like, I don't want to come out my 40s in debt. I want to come out my 40s and I want to be settled. I want the money that I make in the next 10 years, I want it to feed at least 3 generations. When I hit 40, I don't want to think about money like that. Money has to just be flowing.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, look, I drew up a plan. I said, this is the life we want to live in 10 years, yeah? This is where we are now. Now, we can get there in 5 years or we can get there in 10 years. The difference between 5 and 10 years is we leave where we are now and we go back to my mum's house. We've never lived in my mum's house before. Never, ever. We buy where we are, we move back to my mum's house and we work out our way from there. But we'll be making a lot of sacrifice. It will be hard because we'll be living in 1 bedroom. Very, very difficult. But we'll get there 5 years ahead.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah. And that's, you see that, yeah, for me, those are the most important questions, because when it comes to family, yeah, you have to, again, what we were saying, you have to feed the egos, you know, but you have to know what the plan is.
Yeah.
And some people, yeah, can only handle the plan for so long.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If your plan expires before that person hits their timer.
100%.
If it doesn't, that's when you get into issues. You see it all the time.
100%.
You know, when I met you, you was A, B, and C.
Yeah.
You was going A, B, and C.
Yeah.
You told me A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But now we're on D, E, and F.
Yeah.
And you ain't even made A, B, and C.
And I can't even sit on the DFS.
It's real.
Yeah, and so, you know, I think these things are really important, you know, for people, you know, like for the general population to understand, you know, and sometimes you're given, like, I was doing some reflecting maybe like a year ago, and I was like, right, you see the stuff that you've been given, yeah? If you wasn't given that, I don't know where you'll be. But what have you actually done with that? Like, what did you actually do with what you were given? Because trust me, if you speak to people, you can find gifts in loads of people's lives. The thing is that some people never appreciated it. They didn't understand it at the time. You know, were ungrateful for it. A number of things in it. But even this, what we got here, to me, that's a gift, innit? And it's like, okay, what am I gonna do with this gift? So, for example, me and you could have been talking on podcasts 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the line, innit? We're still talking on podcasts. And I'm like, you want to get some guests? And you're like, no, I like the way it is. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And we could keep doing that. Okay. But to me, that's not using the most of the gift.
Yeah.
So then what is using the most of the gift? All right, giving other people the platform.
Yeah.
Why? Because I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Second of all, okay, what else can we do? All right, well, we can do promotion and endorsement. You could get a sponsorship deal. Do you get what I'm saying? You can sell merchandise. You can big up the rappers in your community who have just dropped a mixtape and, you know, are looking for some promotion. There's so much you can do.
You know what's interesting? I was listening to this guy and he was saying people have this illusion about when you run a business. Because he said that most people think that a business is just an extension of a person's ego. So they are the business and everybody worships them. When actually you become the last person. Because first, if you've gone through the IPO, you got shareholders.
Yeah.
They are your top priority.
100%.
You got to make sure that what they invest, they get back.
100%.
Yeah. And then you've got your workers whose families depend on you to be able to feed them.
100%.
And then that ranges from the person who's a vice president or the vice CEO to the cleaners.
Yeah.
All of them need you to be about your business.
100%.
And then you've got people who receive what you put out. If you're a product-based thing like your T-shirts or whatever, people rely on that to wear and stuff like that. And then it's you.
Yeah.
You're at the very bottom.
Yeah.
So I think if you're somebody who's...
Even before that, you got your family. Then
you got you know what I'm saying? And so if you're somebody who's really about that life where you're talking about... being a mogul or being somebody who's going to be successful and put on, like, you need to get real comfortable to that back seat, you know, and making sure that what you do is about giving people platforms and being of service to people, because that's the only way that you're going to win. Most of the time when I look at people who aren't making the kind of progress is because they've got confused and they've put themselves at the center
100%.
of what they're supposed to be doing when it's actually their gift that's supposed to be bringing up other people and that. So, but that's just my view on that.
No, and to contribute to what you're saying is, I always say, that the richest people in the world, from my perspective, are the biggest problem solvers. Yeah. So if you look at the richest people in the world, we're looking at
Branson,
Bezos.
We're looking at Bezos. Yeah. These guys are problem solvers. Yeah. They thought about how can we get things to people in the fastest way possible. That's Amazon. Same day delivery. Fastest way possible. How can we make things as accessible to people as possible? Solve problems and you'll be paid. A lot of people are being selfish and thinking about themselves. You're thinking about yourself and you're not thinking about what do people need. When you think about what people need and you go and search out the answer to what people need, you'll be the richest person. Now, I've worked out a couple of things that people need. People are forever going to need homes. People are going to ever need social care. People are forever going to pass away.
Yeah.
People are forever going to be born. There's a couple of things there that if you listen to what I just said, and you got a brain, let it tick.
You're going to be very rich, oh.
Let it tick. Because that's what are people always going to need? What businesses maintained during the pandemic?
Yeah.
What businesses couldn't you wipe out? What industries were not phased in the pandemic?
I can't lie. Apart from the increased workload, we were fine, baby. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
same with us.
Yeah.
I got a promotion.
Yeah.
In the middle of
Happy
a pandemic.
Days. Yeah. You know what I mean? So look at what if you wanna make the money, and even if you want to invest as well, you look at these businesses that flourish when everything goes down. Who's untouchable in all? Because that's where you want to put your money. You want to put your money in something that doesn't move based on everything that's going on around it. You want to put your money in something stable from a financial perspective. Yeah.
And just to close up, do you think that, I know we've gone through this a little bit, but do you think that your life, has resembled what you thought it was going to look like when you were younger?
I think the most beautiful thing about my life is that I did not know what it was going to look like. And because I did not know what it was going to look like, it's just become. And certain times, like I'm married, I've got a son, I've got houses, and I'm like, I never saw this. I never saw this. Now, if you ask me in the next 10 years, do I think it will look like what I thought when I was 30? Because now I have vision, I have a sense of direction, I have a sense of purpose. I can answer, yes, this is what I planned. I actually sat down and I planned this. I thought about this and I made it happen. But to get where I am now, I can't say that I made it happen. I can't say it's what I thought it would be, because I'm a type of person, when I got into secondary school, I remember year 7 being in secondary school, and I just thought, I didn't even think I was going to make it to the end of secondary school. I just thought, like, I just knew myself. I was just a little silly kid, and I just thought, how am I actually going to make these 6 years of school, or 5 years, whatever it is? Am I going to make it? And I almost didn't. I literally almost didn't, but I did in the end. But I don't know. For me personally, it's like I didn't have a plan. And I would say to anyone, to people that don't necessarily have a plan, all I say is, everywhere you are, be hardworking and be diligent.
Definitely.
Don't be that person that shies away from responsibility. Don't be that person that clocks in and clocks out. Because if you clock in and clock out, you will never be promoted. You will never be promoted. You will never excel. Nobody will remember you. Or when they do remember you, you just be that person that's remembered for average. I can tell you to this day that I've never had a job in my life where when I left, people weren't sad. Never. I've never had a job in my life that the day I left, people were like, why are you going? Like, it was a day of mourning mentally for them. Like, this guy, like, where are you going? Like, we need you. We want you to stay. Do you know what I mean? And that's because of the hard work, consistency, always going above and beyond. Those are the things that will separate you from everybody else. Those are the things that will get you promotions. Those are the things that will set you apart from everybody else. So that's what I would say. I know it's not the fairy tale answer, but
no, that's
me.
No, that's the best. Yeah,
that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Cause everybody knows we bring the real and the family podcast shows. Yeah, so no, that's a blessing to even hear, like to know that it's the hard work that gets people somewhere, you know. And just watching the patterns in it, like having a look to see, okay, it is always the people who think of something new, innovative, you know, who want to help, who are trying to solve a problem that kind of get somewhere. And I think, amazing stuff still.
So powerful. So, Soddiq, where can people find you?
Yeah, please. I'm on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Mr. Generational Wealth. Hit me up on all of those. Again, I help people get their wills in place, help people do power of attorney, probate, all of that stuff. And if you've got a life insurance policy or you haven't got a life insurance policy, hit me up and we can upgrade the policy, we can review it. Or if you just want a general chit chat with some inspiration on finances, I'm always willing to have a chat with people and just encourage people and give people a few nuggets here and there. So follow me, hit me up, let's talk, let's get your family protected on all cylinders. Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
No problem.
So what do you want?
That's where we call it a wrap.
Oh no, yeah,
we forgot already.
Okay.
It's
really, I had a week. I had a week off in it.
He said, what do you want from me? Like,
I had a week off in it, so I'm still on holiday mode. So and that is where we call it a wrap, ladies and gentlemen.
My name is Sam.
My name is Don,
and we've been the family.
Bow.